It's going to be a little bit of a controversial video. This is a polarizing issue, but how does it feel? It feels a little bit like a snake bite. Your arm hurts when you try to lift it. It's almost 13 hours since I took my first vaccination shot. It was a biotech Pfizer. It aches. It feels like a snake bite, like you have shot something heavy into your arm. That's kind of how it feels. It started hurting like a couple of hours after the shot. It's not really super heavy. It's really manageable. I don't really feel so much else. A little bit tired maybe. But it's like completely manageable. It's a little bit heavy to lift the arm. You can do things with your hands. It's just that certain positions hurt, and if you touch here, it hurts. So it kind of feels like you got stung by something, and it spreads, a little bit here and so on. But it's really not as bad as I thought. I had this sort of very dark, maybe fearful picture of what vaccines would be, but now at least 13 hours in is quite okay for me. Alhamdulillah, Ya Rabbil Alameen. So those are my feelings. I mean, I waited quite a long time before I took my first vaccination shot, which is today. I moved to a new country. It was so much going on in my life. I had to worry about moving, worry about finding an apartment here, which was not easy, and resettling and all of that stress, which took an enormous amount of emotional energy from me. There was no space really for vaccination, and also some very practical things like you have to register for a house doctor here. You need a health insurance, and so BSN number, and all of these things even to get healthcare. So if I would take it, I wanted to have a doctor first. And so very, very practical things. And also there were many sort of worries about this new technology. And I had many questions, and I don't feel that. Even though I read enormous amounts of research by professionals, virologists, studies, I looked at the FDA approval studies, the efficacy studies, close to 95% Pfizer and Moderna. I looked at the data, the control groups, the amount of observations in each group, how many were test positive, etc. I really did my research. I just felt that there were so many questions that I had that weren't answered, and that didn't give me the comfort I needed to feel that, maybe this is not such a big deal, because now afterwards I have empirical evidence. At least 13 hours in, we'll see what happens in the upcoming days, but the evidence I have from my own experience is that, man, this wasn't so bad. To take this, and if it is so that there's this RNA now, messenger RNA in my arm and spreading around, that is telling my cells to produce the protein, which corresponds to the spike protein in SARS-CoV-2. So if there's a lot of spike protein going on in my arm right now, and my immune system looks and, hey, what's this? Okay, we're gonna try this type of protein as antibody. It didn't work. This type of antibody didn't work. This type didn't work. This type, okay, we found something that might match. So it's training now to get antibodies. That's a positive thing. Personally, I don't have any evidence for this, but I think I might have had disease in early March, April, because I was sick for quite a long while. Oh, now it's starting to hurt a little bit. It has these kind of aches. It aches and then goes away. I think I had the disease. I was coughing for like a month constantly. Had this sort of not fever, but very low degrees of fever borderline. Was very tired. And I've been around and not got really sick, so that maybe I already have antibodies, who knows. But anyways, so I just feel that there was a very big gap between my expectations or my worries and my fears in theory and what I actually experienced. It's quite different. This is not how I would have expected it. I would have expected it to be more like a common cold, but this does not feel like a common cold. It feels like you really got stung or hit in the arm, and your arm is like not paralyzed, but a little bit towards that end. So it's quite different. And I just feel that most of the sort of effects are actually what if you read somewhere official, like a medical page, is quite aligned with how I feel. And I just didn't think that it was such a big deal as I thought before. And that brings me kind of to the conclusion that afterwards, my sort of evaluation, at least now, is that I'm very sad that there are many people like me, many people who are in the gray zone, or sort of the green, so to speak. We are neither for or against the vaccine, and some have some concerns about the side effect and newness of the technology. Has this been tested, or what are the long-term side effects? What are the motives behind this? How does it work? Does it really produce in the cells what you want it to produce? Do you know that it doesn't produce something unintended? There are so many of these questions, and I don't think that there has been a serious response to that. There's been very much name calling, very much polarization, very much these are the good people who believe in everything that the scientists say. These are the evil ones, and let's like exclude them from restaurants, like I've been excluded from restaurants because they have this you need to have a COVID pass kind of semi-apartheid draconian system. So I feel that has been completely not reaching me at all. It has almost sort of tilted me in the other extreme as an undecided, that I still like vaccines. I like the entire idea, the entire theory behind you stimulating your immune system in this way. It's very genius. It's an ancient technology. This has been used by Sufi Muslims also in the ancient times, probably before that. It's an ancient technology that you can build an immune system by stimulating it in different ways, and that's what a vaccine is about. And I feel that someone who is really impressed by this technology in general has been thrown into kind of a category that you don't feel that you fit in that category, that you're some kind of conspiracy theorist when you just have a lot of questions that you feel need to be answered. Then you have a life situation that maybe make it a little bit more challenging for you to volunteer to take a shot and get sick a couple of days. So I just feel that there has been a gap there, and that's very sad. And when I looked a little bit about the research of the people who have not taken vaccines, the answers that people give are kind of the same answers that have given so far. If I can give any message, if you care about my own empirical observations, 13 hours after the shot, it wasn't as bad as I thought. I completely painted up as more than what it was, and yeah, this is it. And one thing I also learned in modeling, and to be a pure alchemist, a real alchemist, and a real scientist, is that you're wrong most of the time. You can't be an alchemist if you can't accept that you're wrong most of the time. You have to experiment, test, didn't work. You do 10 tests and one of them worked, 9 fail. So you just have to have that humility to accept that you have a theory or you have a hypothesis, you tested its shit and you were wrong. And not many are true scientists and have that level of humility. Thomas Edison did. That's why he created the light bulb. He failed some 2,000 times and kept on trying. So in this way, there's a tremendous importance of humility. I think that the test results now, the empirical evidence of now afterwards, show that it wasn't as bad as I thought. So I had a stronger view of it than it was. And it was, I think, because there were so many questions that weren't answered, and also a life situation that didn't really have any place for, you're comfortable with this healthcare system, you're comfortable where the doctors are, you're comfortable in your new home, you could sleep for many days if things would turn sour, and you can take it safely in your home, stay at home for a couple of days. I didn't have that. I was living in temporary accommodations and so on. So hopefully this video is helpful for you. I think that everyone has to make their own decision and really ask themselves what is the right thing for you to do. And whatever that decision is, it should be respected, and people shouldn't be polarized into one extreme or the other just because they might not believe the same thing as the politicians want them to believe. So this is my message. Allahu alam. Assalamu alaikum.